Most people are told that enslaved Africans lost their history forever, that slavery erased names, cultures, and identities so completely that there is no way back, that once the ships crossed the Atlantic, the story simply ended. But that idea is not entirely true. That belief has shaped how millions of people see themselves. It created distance, not just from Africa, but from identity itself. You may not be able to trace an exact name. You may not recover a complete family tree. But in many cases, you can trace a place. Slavery erased names. It did not erase origins. The belief that African ancestry is impossible to trace did not come from historians. It came from trauma. Trauma does not only wound bodies, it fractures memory. And over time, that fracture can feel permanent. It came from silence passed down through generations. And it came from a system that worked very hard to convince enslaved people that their past no longer mattered. Names were removed, languages were banned, families were separated deliberately. The goal was not only labor, it was disconnection. Let's be honest about what was lost. Personal names disappeared, lineage was broken, oral histories were interrupted. Entire family trees vanished. But erasure was never total. What survived were patterns. Patterns in ports, patterns in destinations, patterns in culture. Historians do not trace enslaved ancestry by looking for surnames alone. They trace regions, ports, ethnic concentrations, and destination patterns. Over 90% of enslaved Africans came from a small number of regions. Senegambia, the Gold Coast, the Bight of Benin, the Bight of Biafra, West Central Africa. These were not random points on a map. They were targeted, repeatedly, systematically. If your ancestors were enslaved in Brazil, there is a strong chance they came from West Central Africa. If they were taken to the Caribbean, many came from the Gold Coast or the Bight of Benin. Reconstructing enslaved ancestry requires multiple layers of evidence. First, shipping records. Slave ships recorded where people were loaded, not villages, but ports. Second, destination records. Plantation inventories, censuses, auction lists tell us where Africans were sent. Third, cultural survival. Language, music, religion, food. These are not coincidences. DNA testing has helped many reconnect. But DNA does not give villages. It gives regions. And it works best when combined with history. DNA can point you toward a region. History explains why your ancestors were taken from there. One without the other tells only part of the story. Together, they restore context. Tracing enslaved ancestry is not about reopening wounds. It is about restoring context. It reminds us that enslaved Africans were not born into bondage. They came from societies with language, skill, belief, and history. In the next episode, we will map the African regions most targeted during the slave trade and explain why those places became focal points of enslavement. If this story matters to you, subscribe. Africa's history did not disappear. Understanding where people came from changes how we understand who they were and who we are connected to today. It was scattered,